So last night I was watching that Late Late Show and with a very young you just out of captivity, and somebody in the audience asked you about forgiveness, you know, and I was struck by your answer, and I'd be interested to know where you stand with that now. The person said, "Do you forgive them?" or something, and you said, "Of course I do." You know, I was really struck by that sense of graciousness about you, but generosity, but also a sense that you were looking beyond the individuals that were holding you captive to maybe the bigger structures. And do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot, and sometimes I just push it away and say, look, I don't understand that concept. I'll leave that to those who do. But that's not an answer, you know. And I have thought about this for a long time. So, two things. If I don't forgive, you know, if I want vengeance or justice or whatever it is, then I'm not out of that hole in the ground in Lebanon. I'm still there. So it doesn't have any meaning for me. The other thing is, and this is a story I've only ever told one other person about this, but it sums it up very profoundly for me. One of the times I was back in Lebanon on my own, I was talking to this young Palestinian woman who was not your usual Palestinian refugee. She'd been educated in Yale or some of the big universities in the States and had her master's degree and was working with the Hariri Institute on rebuilding Lebanon. And for whatever reasons, we were standing, there's a place in Beirut, you probably know it, where there's the Christian Church of St. George, and just across the piazza there's the Muslim mosque. And in between there's what's called the Garden of Forgiveness, which is just desolate wasteland, you know, fallen over direct columns, you know, the whole history of Lebanon is, and the historic ruin between those two places. But anyway, for whatever reason, we were just standing there, and she, out of the blue, apropos of nothing, just said to me, told me the story of her uncle and her cousins who were murdered by the Israelis, but trailed out of their houses, beaten, and then summarily executed. This is her uncle and her cousins who would have been young. And I was looking at her because I thought, why is she telling me this? You know, and then she said very calmly, I can never forgive them. And this struck me. I didn't say anything. I said, okay. But I went away and thought about it. And she said, she didn't say, I will never forgive them, which was an act of defiance and anger and aggression. She said, I can never forgive them. And I remember when I'm talking to people about this stuff, I look in their eyes, because the eyes are the windows of the soul, and the exposed part of your brain, and it's the truth to talk to the eyes. And I looked at her eyes, and she was hurting. She was hurting really, really badly. And what she was hurting about was the fact that she could not forgive them. What she was saying, I want to. But she couldn't find whatever it is that enables that act to happen. And it struck me that she said, I can't. She didn't say I won't, she said I can't, and the hurt. And I thought, that tells a lot. And I thought about it afterwards, and I remember I wrote to her and I spoke to her for years afterwards. And when it comes to terms with this thing, first of all, when it comes to forgiveness, first of all, has to be sought. It has to be asked for. And the person or persons or whatever who are looking for forgiveness have to have had a crucial experience within their own understanding of what they did, why it was wrong, why it hurt it, and why they're hurting so badly, so terribly badly, that they need this. They need this water. They need that their hurt, their pain for what they did is so incredible. Now, So that has to be sought for first, and the person who has to forgive, who has to do the forgiveness, once that kind of open-heartedness, that kind of confessional, raw thing is exposed, then for me, the person who's supposed to do the forgiving will recognise right away that the pain, the anguish, the hurt, the horror of the person who is experiencing and confessing the need for forgiveness mirrors exactly the pain, the hurt, the anguish, the loss, the anger of themselves about the parent that was lost or somebody who was killed or whatever the incident was. So, and then I think the process, because two souls are talking to two souls about the same thing, they're mirroring each other. They're acknowledging that the hurt is the same. It's in the same place. It comes from the same place. And then I think what happens is a very, very complex and deep process then begins. And that's my understanding of it. It's not as easy as to say, I forgive, or will you forgive me for it? This is something existentially, emotionally, psychologically, collectively, very, very deep process that has to be gone through at a deeply personal level. You know, we don't often see that because it's a very difficult thing for anybody to do. As regards my own thing, look, if I saw Saeed in the street, Saeed was a very nasty piece of work. Saeed enjoyed torturing people. And I've often thought if I was sitting in Beirut and Saeed come up and said, I am Saeed, my first inclination would be, well, fuck you, there's no chains on me now. But then that's anger which are allowed. But I kind of know that I would say to him, sit down, Saeed, have a coffee. And then I would ask him, Saeed, you tell me what you were thinking when you were doing those things to me, because I think I know. And if you can tell me, Saeed, I can set you free. I can take it all away. And that's what forgiveness is. It's a profound sense of, it's a meaning place, emotional empathy, I don't know, there's lots of words around it. But that's where it begins.